What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick and I hope you guys are doing well whenever you are checking out the latest video here on the channel. Today we have for you guys another fantastic tier list video, a character tier list in fact, very similar to what my buddy Mike does over at Mike's Talks and Thoughts there with his signature character tier list. And the show in question we are going to use for today's video is the 2009 sitcom Majority Rules here. This is a show that I've recently been very into. I actually finished it just a couple of days ago. Got a copy on DVD for my birthday, which was very exciting. And I really enjoyed this show here. It's a very simple teen sitcom here. Lots of great characters, as you see. There's not that many overall in the show. There's about 20 total represented for this tier list. It was only on for a single season, 26 episodes total. So there's not that many to go over, unlike some shows, but a pretty solid amount considering how long it was on for there. And yeah, we're going to go through, rank them on the tier list, of course, with the signature 7 tiers here. If you have seen this show, which I'd be pretty surprised if anyone else has actually watched through this one because it is pretty obscure, but if you have happened to have watched it in the past, let me know in the comments your ranking of all of these great characters here, and let's get started. So first and foremost here, of course, we got to start off with Becky here, the lead character on the show, played by Tracy Spiridonkos, which is the main reason why I wanted to see the show in the first place, because she is an actress that I'm very familiar with here on Chicago PD and Revolution, some of her bigger dramas there. But this was her first main role back in the day, and her only big comedy role, which is very interesting. And I think she does a really good job here as Becky. I'm going to put Becky in the God tier here. If you don't know the plot of Majority Rules, it's a very silly type of show, but essentially she runs for mayor of this small Canadian town and ends up winning. So the whole gimmick of the show is that she is the mayor, but she's also just your average high school student, and having to balance those two can lead to some pretty funny results there. And she's just a very fun, positive person, very optimistic in the show. Always a great sort of presence to have on these types of sitcoms there. So I'm going to put Becky in the God tier. Next up here, we have her two parents, her dad and her mom there. I don't believe they're ever given names, so just, refer to them as Becky's mom and dad here. And I'm going to put her dad in the great tier and her mom in the good tier here. Wasn't huge on them like I was with some of the other characters there, especially her mom. I think her mom's just pretty, okay for the most part, solid enough for what it is. She is a cop in the show, which I think that'd be pretty interesting. And there are a couple episodes where they kind of explore that idea, but not super deep, unlike some other shows. And then her dad is really nice, just always there to give her advice or kind of, talk her through some stuff whenever she's kind of stressed out or she's feeling anxious about something. He's always there to kind of, help her out with that. So that's really cool. And they had some funny moments together. So I'd say that they're both, pretty solid characters, but I think I like her dad just a little bit more. So he's going to go in the great tier and then her mom in the good tier there. Next up is Brad here. This is Jack's cousin in the show, and for a brief moment, Kiki's boyfriend. I'm going to put him in the meh tier. He's just kind of forgettable, honestly. Nothing like, super terrible about him, but just, pretty one-dimensional as a character, not really that funny. He's only in one episode, so definitely not the most memorable character, just kind of comes in, and visits Jack in the episode, and then you never see him again. So, like I said, just kind of there, for just a brief moment. So I'm going to put him in the Met here. Next up here, Councilman Pugh. This guy was a total dick in this show. I did not enjoy him at all. I'm going to put him in the bad tier. He's not quite bottom of the barrel because there is a special character that I'm reserving for bottom of the barrel, let me tell you. But Councilman Pugh, he was kind of the main... he gives a lot of friction to Becky at City Hall, of course, when they're just trying to pass legislation or trying to get things done, always trying to sabotage her in some way. And he's just a real asshole. He just flips out on everybody, just kind of never gets his way. So he's kind of like the main antagonist of the show. Wasn't really that funny either, just, more mean than anything else. There's one scene in particular, though, that you do gotta laugh at him for because he definitely gets his karma when he gets locked in the shed with the skunk. That was a pretty funny scene, I will say. But all in all, just really a kind of nasty character, just a really bad person in general. So he's going to go in the bad tier there. Following him, we got Darcy here. Now, if you can't already tell, the first time that she appears in the show, she is basically just a copy and paste version of Jade from Victorious, which is like crazy to me because this show actually predates Victorious by 2 years, which is pretty insane. But looking at her, you can tell like she really looks like Liz Gillies from Victorious there, and they basically have the same character traits. And I really like Jade, and I think Darcy here is also pretty fun with that sort of style. I'm going to put her in the great tier. She's not in a ton of episodes. She's only in a handful, but whenever she's on screen, definitely get some laughs from her. The one episode where they're making the movie with Margot and she has to play Becky's role, I thought was really funny because they definitely beef in the show. They definitely have some tension with one another, so that was kind of funny seeing her portrayal of Becky in the movie, of course. And then as well, there's episodes where she is, just kind of the antagonist at the school and kind of the school's bully. So kind of get some laughs out of that at times. So just overall, pretty well-rounded character, but definitely those comparisons, like I said, to Jade is really what makes her stand out in the show. Following her, next up we got David here, aka the Creep, of course. Definitely one of the funniest characters in the show. I'm going to put him in the A1 tier. Always made me laugh for sure. Him and Serena, of course, have a little bit of a shipping sort of thing going on there. It's not explored super deep, but there's definitely some moments of it. Of course, the very famous episode where he goes to where they're on the school field trip and they go to the greenhouse and he's always just fucking everything up. That was a really funny one. Of course, him and the ferret together at the school always brought the laughs. So he's just definitely more of a comic relief character, but one that always did his job. So I'm going to put him in the A1 tier. Next up, Miss DeMarco here from City Hall. I'm going to put also in the A1 tier. Probably the best like adult character on the show. She is the assistant to Becky at City Hall there and always had some really great moments together. Those two really had a lot of great chemistry, of course. Probably one of my favorite running gags in the show is the fact that she is really big on, there's a bakery in the show that they always visit and they always get cupcakes from it, and her and Becky always kind of fight over the cupcakes. I thought that was just a really funny sort of running gag they had in the show. But yeah, very mature, very wise character for sure. Kind of another one that Becky can go to when she's feeling stressed out or she needs some advice on something. Miss DeMarco is always there to help. So just a really, really positive character again. So I'm going to put her in the A1 tier. Next up here, Mr. Gantz. This is the civics teacher in the show, the only teacher that we see reoccurring in the show. And I'm going to put him in the good tier. He was pretty solid overall. Wasn't like amazing or anything, but, definitely had his moments. Not really the funniest character, but just kind of someone there to move the story along. But he's not, terrible either. He's, pretty solid overall, just not the most memorable character in the world. So put him in the good tier, kind of middle of the pack here. Following him, next up, we have Jack here. This is the main love interest for Becky in the show. One of the other students at Mayfield High and an athlete. So that's kind of his trope, is that he's the jock there. He plays basketball and has a lot of moments where he's, doing, sports related stuff. I'm going to put him in the great tier. I really enjoyed his presence there. Definitely him and Becky's relationship is definitely the biggest ship of the show and definitely the most explored. There's an episode where they do the whole trope of they get caught in a building of some kind, or they get stuck in one place and it's a bottle episode because there's a big storm outside, and that's a sitcom trope that dates way back in the day, and plenty of different shows over the years have utilized that to explore different relationships. And this one, they explore it where they get caught in the school over the weekend and there's a big thunderstorm outside, and it's him and Becky are trapped in the school. So that's really the one episode where their like relationship blossoms. and is definitely the most explored, like I said. So I really enjoyed that part of him. He wasn't the funniest character at times, but always had good presence with the rest of the lead cast there. So I'm going to put him in the great tier. Next up, Jarman here. He is probably my personal favorite character from the show. Definitely brought the laughs for sure. Of course, him and Mo together, just so iconic. I'm going to definitely put him in the God tier here. Definitely my top three in the show. Him, Becky, and Margot. So they're all going to be really high up on this tier list, of course. And he was definitely the funniest character on the show, like I said. Just a very positive person as well. Very optimistic, which is great. Great chemistry with the rest of the characters. I mean, really can't say anything negative about this guy. He was tip top for sure. Next up, we have Kiki here, another one of the lead characters. Her, Margot, and Becky, kind of the main trio that you follow mostly in the show, the three chicks there. I'm going to put her in the meh tier. I think she's definitely the weakest of all the main characters. Her shtick got really old really fast with the fact that she's really into fashion and beauty, makeup, that kind of stuff. She's always talking about that, and it just got really kind of irritating after a while. In the very first episode, she is like kind of like a spoiled, entitled kind of chick, and she does mellow out after a while, but it just kind of, that's her whole personality basically. She's very one-dimensional, doesn't really have a lot of depth to her character, so I think, like I said, she's definitely the weakest character. She did have a couple of laughs throughout the series, but not as much as most of the other lead actors on the show, so I'm going to put her in the meh tier. All right, remember what I was saying about the bottom of the barrel tier, and there's one character in particular that occupies that spot. Well, we found her, and her name is Crystal there. Easily the worst character on the show, without question. Thank God she was only in one episode, because I could not stand her. I think that episode in particular is easily one of the weakest in the entire show. She is the temp that Becky hires as her assistant when Miss DeMarco goes on vacation for a week, so that's how she gets introduced. But she is just so annoying, man. She does this poetry thing that's like her whole, interest that she has on the show, and that like kind of takes over her work, where she's much more focused on herself rather than Becky or helping her, get her work done and stuff. And that was just really annoying. So not a very good, at her job for one. But then at one point, later in the episode, she does this poetry slam, and it is just the most uncomfortable, cringeworthy fucking scene I've ever seen in a teen sitcom. Because you got to cover your eyes the whole time. It's unwatchable. It's so god awful. She's just doing like these weird dances and stuff. It is just so unfunny and just so fucking cringy. So Crystal, without a doubt, easily the worst character on the entire series. Definitely going bottom of the barrel tier. Fuck her. Get her out of here. Next up here we have Les. This is Becky's younger brother in the show. He's only in a couple episodes, surprisingly, which I thought was kind of strange. He's definitely more present earlier in the series, like the first, 2 or 3 episodes he's in, but then after that, we don't really see him all that much, and I thought that was kind of disappointing because I enjoyed him. I'm going to put him in the good tier. Definitely wasn't like, a super big standout in the show, like I said, because he wasn't really present that much, especially in the later episodes, but I'd say for the most part, he was pretty solid. His whole shtick was like he was, the smart younger brother who knew better early on. So that was kind of the trope that he had with his personality there. There's one episode where he is part of it, but he's off screen the whole time, so you don't really see him. But that's when Mo is taking care of him when he's sick, and that was pretty funny. But for the most part, a solid character, nothing, amazing, but overall pretty, good, I would say. So good tier, I think, is acceptable for his rank there. Following him, next up we have Margot here. I've been mentioning throughout this that I think she's awesome as well, so she's the last person we're going to put up in the God tier there. Definitely, like I said, this trio up here between her, Jarman, and Becky there, I thought was the most solid of all the main characters there, so they all definitely deserve their God tier placements. And the last of the main characters here, we have Mo as well. I'm going to put Mo in the A1 tier. Always brought the laughs, of course, with Jarman there. Was always very funny. Definitely one of the best characters when it just comes to um, just making you feel like part of the gang as well. Always had a very, optimistic personality as well there, which was great. Great chemistry with everybody. There were definitely some moments where he was like kind of over the top with some of his shticks. Definitely the omelet comes to mind. If you know, you know. Just leave it at that. The fucking omelet, I tell you. But overall, pretty positive guy. Like I said, definitely one of the funniest characters. So put him in the A1 tier, I think is fair. Following him, next up we have Mort Braddock, the former mayor of the town, and the person that Becky runs against in the second episode here and ends up beating in the election, of course, to make her mayor. And he's also Jack's dad in the show. I'm going to put him in the good tier. I thought he was okay. Definitely not the funniest character easily, but had a couple good moments here and there. I thought the best quality to his character was just how much he really leaned into like the villain, like the antagonist aspect to it, because he's definitely someone you want to root against, especially early on, and he did a good job conveying that, like someone that you just don't like. You don't want to win, and that you want to, kind of put down and stuff, because you obviously want Becky to overtake this guy, because he's kind of a dick in the earlier episodes. But he does mellow out after a while, and I'm gonna put him in the good tier. Next up is Sam here, the security guard up at City Hall there. Definitely one of the most, the fan favorite reoccurring characters of the show. I'm going to put him in the great tier. I don't think I like him as much as some people, but I thought he was pretty funny at times. He kind of reminds me of Ron Jeet almost from How I Met Your Mother, where he has, like, he's Indian, so he has, like, a lot of, foreign sort of he's always like, in my country, we do this and stuff. He's always got little tidbits like that he passes on to Becky and Mr. Marco and whoever. The most annoying part to his character was definitely his relationship with Crystal, though, because as we've already established, Crystal fucking sucks. So I didn't really care for that much at all. But yeah, I thought Sam was pretty funny overall. He definitely was also like used really well. Like they didn't, he didn't overstay his welcome at all. They kind of used him very sparingly, which was good, because I feel like if they ever gave him like a solo episode or it was just him, it would get a little too much after a while. It would be a little over the top, but they used him very sparingly, which was smart. So all in all, pretty great character. Following him, second to last here, we have Serena, definitely one of the people that you're supposed to root against in the show. She's definitely one of the main antagonists as well against Becky, always kind of beefing with her at school and trying to like one up her and stuff. She's kind of like, always having to be, the best person when it comes to any projects they do together, or just always trying to prove herself in the series, and just got really annoying after a while. I'm going to put her in the Met tier. Didn't really have that much funny parts, didn't really do all that much to stand out in the series. Was just kind of annoying, honestly, after a while. Not as bad as the other two we have below, but just not very entertaining. And then lastly here we have Wayne here, one of the reoccurring characters. He's one of the waiters that is at the restaurant that they always visit, Hoplings. It's like a kind of the McLarens of the show, essentially. But he's one of the servers there, and he's always crushing on Kiki, which is pretty funny. I'm going to put him in the good tier. Definitely didn't have like, a ton of scenes in the show. I think he's only in like 3 or 4 episodes, but he definitely had some moments there that I thought were pretty funny. So all in all, folks, that is the tier list there for majority rules characters there. Overall, a pretty solid selection there, pretty even out. Good amount in each tier list there. Definitely, like I said, my personal favorites here, the 3 that stand out the most to me were Becky, Jarman, and Margot in the series, and then the creep, Mr. Marco, and Mo also pretty solid there in the A1 tier. But if you guys have seen the show yourself, I'd love to hear what you have to say on this one. Which characters you thought were awesome, which characters you thought sucked ass. For me, easily Crystal there. Just one of the worst TV characters I've ever seen, so definitely a big thumbs down there. But that is it for the video, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.